Welcome to Two Bitches and a Broom podcast, episode 20. And today's discussion, we are going to get into misconceptions of development. So, what are the things that are going around, trends talked about, stuff like that when it comes to your development? This is a very exciting time to be alive, so they say, and a very exciting topic, I think, too, with the advancement of social media and the public reach or individual reach. There's a lot that goes out there that kind of doesn't I mean, you do you. So, yeah, but let's just jump right into it. What's one thing that you've come across as a misconception in development?
One. Okay.
Yeah, let's start with one.
That it's only for people who are naturally gifted.
Mm,
And in my belief structure, I think we all have the natural capacity to develop these skills. And that kind of goes in line with it has to be generational. That makes me so
gosh.
it makes me nauseated. I am the 10th generation, and it's like, congratulations, you're a human being, because we can all do this,
Right. Yeah. I agree. I 100% agree with that one. And I just chalk it up to maybe it's like a marketing technique, okay, great. But my belief structure aligns more with every soul is intuitive. Every soul has the ability to walk whatever path they choose to walk. And at whatever point in your soul's expansion, you were like, hey, I want to develop this part, in my progress, in my ascension, in my evolution of your soul,
Right.
So I don't necessarily agree with that development is only for those that are gifted.
Right.
No, I feel like everybody can benefit from development. Hell, how much can't everybody develop, even just benefit from even just developing your own foundational practice? We are all energetic beings, right? So yeah, and then the whole generational thing, and like, okay.
I think that it is unfortunate that there are these few people that kind of spout that, and it can have such a massive impact on other people, which can actually prohibit them from pursuing metaphysical studies. And every single person has intuition. Look at your policemen, your firemen. They'll talk about their gut instincts of how, I just knew that if I turned down this alley, they would be there. I knew that this was a bad guy, so I followed him. Or the firefighters who are like, I knew that I needed to stay back because it was going to be bad or something. But if you talk to them, they'll all tell you about those gut instincts. And those are just a few just regular examples. How many times have you not made a right like you normally would when you're on your way to work, and then you look back and you're like, wow, I missed a traffic backup. That was your intuition.
Yeah. And I think so. I think this is like, okay, so this is not an episode bashing anybody or any
Absolutely
practice
not.
or anything at all, but these are the things that I've found and also have had my own experiences with when it comes to development. Just like the generational thing, I have seen individuals who hesitate to accept their own uh, path and their own progress because, oh, I'm not my family line doesn't have this in it. I'm not a generational, my grandmother, my mother, my grandmother, my great grandmother. No, nobody really was any of these kinds of things. So therefore, I must not be, right?
There is no science whatsoever. And you know, I'm very scientific based.
Yes.
There is no science to support that there is a DNA equivalent that can be passed down generationally that is linked to intuitiveness.
Right,
So I
exactly.
think by spouting that, that makes you kind of look silly, in my opinion. And that's coming from somebody who does have generational.
Right.
You know, and if I can
Yeah.
say that, then anybody should be able to say that, in my opinion.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, I tell those individuals that I come across that too, of that has nothing to do with what your soul decided to come in and do. And you also negate the possibility that maybe that line you incarnated into actually is a common line for highly intuitive souls to come in. And at some point along the progression of society, it got shut down, you know. But
Yeah.
again, like, I feel like that whole I'm a third, fourth, fifth, sixth generation psychic, a medium, a healer, whatever, is it's really discouraging for those who don't have that experience or
Yes.
don't have proof of that experience, you know.
I think the difference between generationally having many generations in your family that practice, I think the only difference is it is a supported and
Yes.
reinforced practice.
Yeah.
To me, that is the only difference.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just gonna say a point like that too, because I'm like, even like look at in my own experience, my grandmother, healer, never talked about it. Never, we all talk in conversation just of she used to do these things, have these little quirks, have these little stuff, but it wasn't a necessarily outwardly supported practice of, like, for example, what I do now, and you know, others that I know too. So yeah, I just, you know, if you're listening to this or watching this and that's something that stands out and holds you back from qualifying yourself, don't let it. Don't let it.
I absolutely wouldn't.
Yeah. Another one I feel like is a it's not funny, but it's funny. It's
Got to be a good one, right?
it's the whole the minute you're triggered, that person is toxic and xed out of your life. The anytime that you're triggered, they're toxic. And I think, again, this probably is just my personal opinion, but with society, when they hit some trends and waves, man, boy, do they go all the way to the far side of it and have to reel back in. Then we figure out the balance. But I feel like with toxic culture, I see that the minute that somebody is triggered, oh, that person is toxic. I can't deal with you anymore. Or I cut them out because they're toxic.
I agree.
Over the slightest inconvenience. Like, you might as well not go outside anymore. You might as well just live in your house the rest of your days, because you're huh?
I literally just had that conversation with a client earlier today. I had that exact conversation with a client. Is you if we cut out and shut off every single person that we perceive may have, like they're ruminating bad thoughts or ruminating on something that is negative, we would never talk to anybody.
Right.
If they're having negative thoughts or if they are having a negative period of time in their life, that doesn't mean they're bad people. There are people who are having bad human experiences. You know what I mean? So give it a minute, friend. There's ebbs and flows. Your time will come,
Right.
Yeah.
And I find it so interesting too with that kind of, when I come across clients like that who are immediately cut everybody off because it's the toxic culture, right? Everything is a toxic culture. And then there was narcissistic culture of everybody's getting labeled as a narcissist. And I pose the question too of, maybe in their perception, you're the toxic one. I mean, we are all intended to learn from one another, and we're experiencing from one another. Yes, there is a difference between those, as we know, as like, energy vampire kind of people, and people in just say operating on a lower frequency. Sure, but then you learn boundaries and all. It's like, it's a process, right? Sure. But when you are labeling any little inconvenience, any little trigger, because you're in this positive vibes only, that cracks me up. Positive vibes only, and like only peace and love and light, then yeah, maybe I don't think you should come outside anymore. I think you should just stay home. Just stay home. And maybe that's your thing, but maybe the other person in it is looking at you the same way.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. Your personal perception can be 100% accurate for you, but that doesn't mean it's a global perception.
Exactly.
So if that person that you are viewing is toxic for you, then that person absolutely is. Okay. Absolutely. It is not good for you. It is not good for your path. It is not meant to be, right? Absolutely cut that energy out of your life. You don't need that. Cool. Move on. But it could be your best friend that could completely jive with that energy. And it could be very beneficial for that best friend. So I think we have to keep that in mind, that it doesn't mean that they are bad people. I hate that word. I hate that word. Bad or wrong. I hate the perception of these are evil, awful, horrible. No, it's just not meant for your particular energy. And you're going to come across millions of people.
Oh, absolutely.
That are not going to jive with your energy or be meant for your path. And that's okay too.
Exactly. I mean, like, hey, just look at it. Do you have a job? Do you have coworkers? You're all you're all there to do a job and get a paycheck, but then at the same time, you all are interacting with each other on some level, so you're gonna come across so many people that are not going to be a vibrational match for you. Absolutely. But if you keep on that train, you're just gonna end up just, what is it called? Be a recluse. Just be in your own world. That's grain of salt, my friend. Grain of salt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh gosh. Another thing that I came across that I found that I find interesting and fascinating is the notion that the ego will die or be silent forevermore.
Yeah.
Let me know when you find that magic pill. Please message me.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually have included a pretty lengthy video at the end of a shadow work course that I have that really reinforces the understanding of it never ends, right? Never ends. I've been doing this for 30 years. Any person that comes to you and says, "Oh, I'm completely done," they are full of crap. They are fooling themselves, unfortunately. We're constantly a work in progress. Constantly.
Absolutely.
If we're perfect, why are we still here? Then our purpose is fulfilled.
Yeah, that's what I say. I'm like, when I have clients and students, and like, I want to shut the ego down or silence that and be this such enlightened person. And I'm like, I don't give a flying J how enlightened somebody says they are, or how high of a frequency they have, or they have completely killed their ego and have completed all shadow work. Why are you breathing?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I call bullshit. Because you are, it's part of the body, it's part of the experience. We're always tested. Now your awareness, that's different. Your awareness expands, doesn't mean your ego is going to die off. So this whole misconception of the ego dying off once and for all, or quieting down, shutting off forevermore, is part of the container and part of interaction. So it's not, unfortunately, again, if you find the magic pill, please message me and let me know. But if you find the secret sauce for that,
I agree.
I think that goes right into with shadow work. That shadow work is, there is an end point of it. And no, there's not.
No. I think it's learning the role of the ego and how, just like with anything in life, how you can make that benefit you.
Exactly.
Right? So this whole hoopla with making it shut up and be quiet. I mean, I even attended, I'll never forget this. I attended a group where they were saying, you need to have your ego take your dog for a walk. And while you're doing this, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me right now? No. No. Like, your ego, you need to become one and understand its function, its purpose, and how you can best utilize it to work for you, not against you. That's exactly the whole thing. Once you figure that out, right, you're golden. You're golden. There is no making it, losing it. Right. I think just mastering the art of it is really the most beneficial. The ego's working for me right now. It's telling me that I'm knowledgeable enough to get on here and talk to you folks about this, right? So that's benefiting me. It's not hindering me.
Right. Yeah, I agree on that. And that's how I go about addressing ego too with clients and students. It really is, you build a working relationship with your ego. You build a working relationship with your shadow and understanding. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's not going anywhere. So we work with it so it works for us, not against us. And even just
in the early 2000s, I don't know if you heard this or not, but there was like a practitioner. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
There was a practitioner that was talking about being able to like energetically, surgically remove the ego. Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah. and it blew my mind. At the time it was on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
But I was just like, they're energetically, surgically, this is that psychic surgery where they are removing the ego from this person. And I'm like, I
Okay.
have heard it all now, my friends. I have heard it all, so yeah.
What?
I'm sorry, it just
Yeah.
popped in my
No, no,
head,
you're
and
fine.
I'm like, I wonder
I
if she heard that.
totally fine. I did not hear of that. That, yeah, that alone sounds completely bananas to me.
Yeah. There's
And
some very interesting things out there.
what?
And I'm not knocking
Um,
anybody if that, I'm not bashing anybody. It just doesn't align with my particular
right.
belief or um, good
Well,
luck with
see,
that.
and the thing is too, like, even like with that example, I would think this is just how my brain starts functioning of, you know, so then what happens when that person leaves that practitioner who has successfully eradicated the ego for this individual,
Mhm.
and then they go out to the grocery store and get upset.
Well, I think the practitioner was really in touch with the ego.
And so,
To like come from a
uh,
space of I'm gonna surgically remove that energetically.
yeah,
So, like,
okay. But
yeah.
even like with the ego, just even think about, and I know there's so many of us who've had this experience. I know for me in the beginning of quieting the ego, and I've taken some workshops and sat in on some lectures and things when it was similar to like your ego takes the
Walking
dog
the
for the
dog.
walk, walking the dog kind of. It's similar to that.
I was like, I want my
And
$300 back right now.
right, and
Right now.
how successful were you in sitting there and actually doing that? No, because at least in my experience, my ego just got louder
Yeah.
and more frequent, and it didn't work. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. I mean, again, I apologize for cutting you off, but it just
oh
popped
yeah,
in
you're
my
fine.
head. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
oh my God, I wonder if she remembers that. But you
yeah.
were probably like 4 in 2000.
No,
I keep
not
forgetting
that,
there's like a
not that.
major age gap. So
Yeah,
yeah.
not that long ago. Um, yeah, that definitely was, yeah, and I didn't hear about that, but I was like very, at that time I was very much still in the spiritual closet and still in the,
You
I
mean
was a
diapers?
recluse in my own closet.
Oh my God.
But that's
Yeah.
crazy to me.
Yeah.
Surgically remove. I'm gonna look it up too now because I'm
Yeah,
just
you should.
fascinated.
I will disclose that it was on the other network, social
Mm.
network,
Mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm.
older one,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that one. I'm being careful
Gotcha.
because I don't want to.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
wow. Yeah, that's
I think a pretty
that.
good misconception also is when people think they have to give up their identity.
Yes.
I think the moment anything, I don't care what it is, tells you to give up who you are at the core of your person, you should run, Forest, run from,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know?
I agree.
But that
Yeah.
is a huge thing where can it be transformative? Absolutely. But it's all by choice. Anything that's saying you must, you have to comply with these set of rules and
Mm-hmm.
regulations, that's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that says that to you, run,
Yeah.
run from it. It's not a religion. It is a practice. It is a life altering practice.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But it's still something that you um kind of assemble and decide what you will and will not do and things of that nature. It's not a you must, you should.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pros and cons, babe.
Mm-hmm.
weigh those out and see what you want.
I think one of the things that I find is like a stumbling block for some people is when they are in search of like the discovery of self and alignment and all that stuff, and they're reaching for something to grasp onto, and they find these different organizations or sects or things that it's these set of rules, and they don't take into consideration what actually resonates with them. And then they think something's wrong with them because it's like feeling parts of it feel forced. So it's not them, and or it is them. It's, they're the problem kind of thing, because you're not taking yourself into consideration and what resonates with you.
Exactly. And
does it feel good to you?
And I think that's why shamanism has always resided with me wholeheartedly in comparison to other belief structures, because I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of rules and regulations. I'm not a fan. I beat to my own drum very loudly. And I do, and I practice what I want to practice when I want to practice it. And again, pros and cons. What are you wanting from this experience? What are you wanting from that growth journey?
Right.
That's going to answer a lot of things right there. But if it's you have to, you must, you should, or you can't be a part of this, run.
Right. This way is the only way. I'm like, no, that would not
that's a big one.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because there are some that I can tell you from personal experience that have come to me and was like, okay, what am I allowed to eat? Excuse me? Whatever your heart desires, Oh, I thought I had to be completely vegan and I had to do this. And I'm like, not with shamanism. That's not how it works.
Right.
At some point, I'm sure you're going to be able to discern what foods feed your body and nourish it and what foods are not doing that. But you're still make no mistake, friends. I still look at cheesecake and go, you are mine today. And it's not really nourishing my body, but it's bringing me joy in that moment, and I will consume it so I can have joy in that moment. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not like the clouds are going to part and you're going to be struck by lightning and not allowed to be in the group,
Right.
It's not like that. It's really not. And I have a hard time with any belief structure that says you must follow A, B, and C in order to be perceived as good enough or holy enough or pure enough to then connect with your chosen God.
Oh yeah.
Ridiculous.
Well, I think too, even just in like the I would say spiritual bandwagon community. I don't want to say metaphysical community because it doesn't feel right with me with that. Of must have raw diet, must have, do this type of stuff, must open your third eye. That's one that a lot of stuff goes around about that. And it's like, you're not going to be able to ascend if you don't do these things. You're not going to change your vibration or shift your vibration if you are consuming meat or dairy or cheesecake. I'm like, what? No, that's not. What the hell? No. So I feel like, are you going to go through periods through your development where you will feel not really drawn to certain foods.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
That varies week to week with me.
Exactly. You'll go through a phase where you just can't do meat at this time, red meat, let's say, and you're really just craving fruits and vegetables or whatever the case may be, and then you'll go through a period where you're just going to just want sweets and, something savory.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be, I've had clients,
if you
listen to your body.
Your body's always telling you what it needs. When you have a craving, what food are you craving? Is it the sodium? Is it the carbohydrates? Because your brain is dying of thirst and it needs carbs. That's how our brains function. Is it the protein? If you look into it, you'll find it out pretty quickly.
Oh, absolutely. I've had clients and students who really kind of get a little taken aback and afraid that, oh man, I love steak, but I just can't stand the smell right now or the sight of it, and that's really hard for me to, and I'm like, it is a wave you're riding at the moment. It's going to change. You're going to shift throughout. It's not going to be like, I had someone tell me once, like, I don't think I can be vegan. I don't think I can do that. And I'm like, yeah, amen, sister, me too. So, but have there been points where I have done a short stint of strictly vegan? Sure. Really want the red meat or the seafood? Sure. Fucking said YOLO to it all and just was eating whatever? Absolutely. You're not going to put me in a bakery and tell me I can't touch anything or sample anything. You're not going to have me on this rock and tell me I can't have the fun stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I just fall back to, do I think that we should try to take as great of care as we possibly can to our bodies? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Unequivocally. We're also having the human experience. And I believe, again, if you're listening to your body's going to tell you. It's going to tell you. It absolutely will. And I think the further that you kind of follow your path on the development, the more in tune and in touch you will be with your body, and you will naturally progress in that way.
Yes.
Of listening. But have I ever said to people, do not eat this or do not eat that? No, the only time I tell anybody anything is before we do like energy work.
Yep.
And that's strictly because I do not like vomit. So please don't throw up on me. I'm a sympathetic puker. So yeah.
I always equate it to just, having yourself in the highest vibrational state possible. And, we all know certain foods are just a lot denser. Yeah. So that sit in that. But other than that, sorry, there was like a fly. Other than that, he's like, follow what you feel, what works for you, what feels good for you. And it's going to change. It's not going to stay the same. You're going to change as you grow. That's going to change. Yeah. But what's more important is the more you grow, the more in tune and confident you become in listening to yourself and following your own internal compass and guidance in spite of what you hear around you, Yeah. I think another misconception is the idea that a practice has to look a certain way, and you must have an hour or 2 hours in the beginning of your day to do this, or at the end of your day to do this. And you must do a minimum. Here's one, a meditation time limit. You must do a certain amount of time. No.
So meditation is a fantastic process to allow you to be centered and to be balanced. It's a fantastic practice. Not saying otherwise. Do I think that you need to do it for multiple hours a day or even an hour every day? No, I don't.
Right. Yeah.
And I challenge anybody who says that you do, let's compare peanuts, because that I think can be an excellent practice for some people that require it, but not globally across the board does every human require that.
I agree.
And while you're fighting yourself for that hour to quit thinking about your grocery shopping list or picking the kids up or what you're going to cook for dinner, or did you pay that bill, and you've wasted 40 minutes fighting with the monkey mind, you could have just done a 15-minute practice that your brain and your ego would be extremely happy with.
Absolutely.
Gifting you those 15 minutes and had a more productive session.
Yeah, I agree. I hear that so often of it has to look like this type of practice in order to count, or you have to meditate it for this amount of time, or it's not, or you must be in a fully meditative trance state in order for it to count.
Yeah.
No. First of all, meditation comes in different forms and fashions.
Yeah.
And you're not always going to be in a full induced trance state, deepened state to achieve. And you don't need to in order to achieve peace, balance, or centeredness, or guidance on something that you're conflicted about, or connecting with your guides. No. Your guide is not going to be like, you didn't technically sit for X amount of time, so I'm not talking to you. They'd never talk to me if that was the case.
I am such a visual person, you know what I mean? So I have that little scene play out in my head. Somebody transitions and they're like, well, you only logged in 1,000 hours. You can't come in,
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. And I tell clients, you have moments through your day, let's say, that you feel yourself getting just lost in thought, right? And a client will say, oh yeah, when I'm cooking dinner, or when I'm out picking up the weeds in the yard or whatever. And you're just drifting, just drifting in thought. Okay. Don't you think that was meditation?
Yeah, exactly.
Now let's take that and couple it with an intention. Boom, there you go. There's your meditation, You will have times where you will want to sit and you will want to have that afternoon to be in your space and do whatever, sure. But is it realistic for every day? Not that I've seen.
I am very scientifically based. So you show me, let's compare peanuts to peanuts.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. Until I'm proven otherwise. That's
right.
That's my current belief.
Yeah. I feel like too, it can be very discouraging for somebody, especially somebody who's newly embarking on their development path, or, even just the regular, Joe Schmo, just wanting to find a practice that helps them feel less stressed through the day.
And we did a podcast on meditations, didn't we? Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah. Okay. So like anybody.
Oh, yes.
And they're wondering, like, okay, what are they talking about? Go through our old podcast and check that out, because you're going to see there's tons of different ways, and we give like pretty good tips.
Yeah.
That, I mean, seriously, there's a lot of wonderful ways that you can meditate effectively without feeling like you're pulling your own wisdom teeth out in the process.
Yes, exactly. I just find that can absolutely be very discouraging for a lot of people, especially, and I've seen those newly embarking on their path, not even just for ability development or anything of the sort, just even trying to find something that gives them a little peace of mind, stress management, stuff like that.
Sure.
They don't take into consideration it looks different for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue to look different for you too. What works this week isn't maybe not going to work next week for you, and that's okay. All being stuck in the cycle of I have it this way and I've been doing A, B, and C, and then you shift and change, but then you don't want to do that because you've developed this part. It's okay. It's okay to shift and change. We're supposed
to. It is. I agree.
We're supposed to, So give yourself some, if you're listening to this and watching this and you're feeling some of these like hangups that you've experienced or are going through, give yourself some grace. It's okay to relax back and let it feel it out for yourself. So yeah. That's What's something else that you feel like is a common misconception that you see on someone's path to development?
Probably that you have to become super compassionate and caring and loving with every word that you use. And I think that's a huge misconception. And again, shaman, let me state that. Okay. I swear I curse with the best of sailors out there.
Yes.
And my God adores me. Their words. They're just words. They're there to help emphasize the emotion that we have at that moment. That's how I see those words. I don't believe in bad or good or right or wrong. I believe in negative energy and positive energy, which I call heavy and light. So, yeah, I think it's a huge misconception. It doesn't mean you're going to stub your toe and go, oh, yay, that felt so wonderful. I love it. No, you're going to cuss. You're going to be upset, and that shit's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a normal human response. We are having a human experience. Every day isn't going to be rainbows and cotton candy shooting out of your butt crack. You're going to have bad days. It's going to reflect that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think it's a huge misconception that when you go through spiritual development, that you're going to become this, like Mother Teresa kind of thing. Now, though, fantastic lady, I'm sure when she stubbed her toe, she was not happy. Sure, she didn't say loving, kind words at the moment, you can still do wonderful works and have great compassion for people who walk this plane and not have that every moment of every day of your life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It doesn't mean you're failing at, your quest to become more enlightened. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I too can hang with a lot of sailors. And probably
that's probably why we get along.
And I probably can outword them also. But it's but I'm also a realist. So there is absolutely nothing that says one person is more enlightened than the other because this person is all like fucking kumbaya all the time, and this other person is not, no, absolutely not. There is no way of being, and again, changing yourself. Again, I think that circles back to acceptance of self, right? And identity too, when you're on this path of stepping into something else. I mean, like, good luck with that lasting, first of all, because if it's not genuine from you, it's not going to last. It's going to fall off at some point.
And all you're doing is just putting another mask on.
Exactly.
To hide who you really are. I would rather be authentic, transparent, and genuine, and curse and say what I mean and mean what I say, than to try to shield that from other individuals who it may grate on them. You know what I mean? And actually, I find that I do it more when I'm around people who don't like it. There's a lot of misconceptions out there. There's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to it. And it doesn't mean you're failing. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It really doesn't. Everybody has their own identity, their own personality. And I would not want to pursue something that would change my personality. I think I'm freaking awesome. Like, I don't want to change. I don't mean that like in a convenient way, but I think I'm a good friend. I'm a good partner, a good mom. I think I'm a good practitioner, and I wouldn't want to change the core of who I am so I could fit into some perceived more holy practice or something. I wouldn't want to, That just sounds like so much work.
It does. I'm sorry, it sounds exhausting to me to do that. And if the words aren't going to tell you, this is going to tell you. But I mean, I think isn't that why we all kind of collectively journey through, on this plane and stuff too, is, can you imagine if we had just cookie cutter replicas of personalities and individuals and stuff?
Boring.
What's the point of even coming here? Nothing's going to be accomplished. There's no point, right? And I feel like and I feel this too, even with practitioners, if you are I've personally had this where people come to see me and they have this idea of what, as you're walking into a shaman's workspace, of what that would look like. And I'm over here like, hey, what's up? So
I know.
I come with warnings. I curse. Yes. I say everything with love, and I lovingly don't care what you choose to do with whatever you want to do. Take it or leave it. That's pretty much my disclaimer.
My disclaimer is I'm very blunt. I'm to the point. You're paying to give you information that I receive, not what I think, but what I actually receive.
Exactly.
They are very blunt. My team is extremely blunt and to the point. So remember to like me before I tell you all these things.
Right. But it is too, it's just that, if you are developing or into a practitioner or wanting to venture down that, get that out of your head right now of what the idea of a healer is supposed to look like.
Or a reader
or psychic or anything of the sort. You are such a beautiful, unique soul that's going to bring delivery that is meant for you and intended for you and works for you, just like we are all going to attract and draw those clients to which we are intended to work with, because even just like with us, somebody may be drawn to you for the way that you deliver and the way that you have, and then drawn to me for the way that I deliver and I have. Every single person has their own kind of set of clients that they draw, and it is by far, at least not in my experience as of today, that it has anything to do with what you look like, how your room looks, how how kumbaya are you presenting yourself to be. Absolutely not. Has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, actually, when I started, I had people come into like the sitting area of my home. You know what I mean? It's actually called the sitting room. It sounds so snotty and uppity, but it's literally called the sitting room.
The
It's
sitting
like a
room.
part
Yeah.
of it. Yeah. So yeah, that's where people came in. That's where I met people. And I mean, my aesthetics alone should tell you a lot about me, my aesthetics alone.
Yeah.
But I do believe in that, being authentic and genuine, and don't try to pretend to be something you're not. It's so much work, and it's not work.
Yeah.
And if that means that you're a practitioner who's you're developing and you're like, wow, I'm not getting the warm fuzzies with everybody, what's going on? You may not be the warm fuzzy reader or medium or whatever. You may not be the warm fuzzies. And I see a lot of people who portray themselves, with this, I'm light and love and all this stuff, and everything is wonderful. And I think that is wonderful. I do.
Yes,
I think that's fantastic. But that is not every single human being.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
As shaman, we work with, the light and the dark. Obviously, we do a lot of heavy energy removals, a lot of attachment removals, things of that
relocation
nature.
services.
Yeah, relocation services, right. So we are privy to a lot of different energy and working within that energy. So I think we naturally just drop all of that because we're like, yeah, we know too much. We just know too much, and it's not worth it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not worth your time, energy, and effort to put on a mask to appease other people in this lifetime. It's just not.
Oh, absolutely.
Sorry, I kind of went down the rabbit with
no,
that.
you're totally fine. I completely agree with that. And it is interesting in that, the types of workings that we do and all of the stuff that we come across. And I will say, if you're going to take anything from anybody, take it from us. At least I can speak for myself, and I know for you too. Just in the array of energy that we see and deal with, and the type of heavy energy we handle and do all that kind of stuff. Don't be you, be unique, stand out, let your own light shine bright and beautiful. And it is just, no, there's far too much. Yeah, no.
I think that if you believe in the concept that there is a creator and creator created you, and you further believe that it's within their image, then don't you think that your creator has complete knowledge of all of the emotions, feelings that you have, and not only understands that, but supports that and understands why you're having those emotions? So why feel the need to shield that or hide that some way?
Yeah.
So sorry, I just thought
that. I agree. Yeah, that's, and I think that's too, like, one thing that I find too, and just accepting your own uniqueness and your own ability to, even just with, organized religion, saying prayers a certain way, or, having to do it this way. And I'm like, but that's not me. And, and I find that too with individuals, even sometimes communing with their team, right? And I am like, well, your team knows you, God knows you. And saying it this way or approaching it this way, why are you wasting all that energy doing it that way? Just say it the way that you would normally say it. Have a conversation that you would normally have. Cut all the other stuff out. You're wasting time. You're wasting time. You're wasting energy.
Yeah.
They already know you. And I would tell you, if I was your guide and I set this up for you, obviously I contracted with you, I know you, we're familiar with each other, and you come to me with this kind of silliness and verbiage and ways of, stuff, I would probably be like, why are you being silly? Just, that's not your truth, kind of thing. So just speak, even communing with your team, just say it the way that you normally, it's like a conversation with a friend, a trusted individual, don't hold yourself back in that way.
I agree.
So yeah, I think these are all good points of misconceptions of things that I've come across. I know you've come across, and a lot of these things, these points that we brought up, I have seen myself create hesitations and blocks with people in development. Again, whether you're developing with the goal of practitioner, or you just are just another person wanting to find some peace and balance in your life. Don't let all of these, things stop you, because ain't nobody said that you can't do it just because you're not sixth in line as this, or you weren't gifted these abilities by, your family or whatever the hell they say. No, absolutely not. You are a product of creator.
Created a lot of people to reconsider previous notions that they may have had. Anything that holds you back, any person, any conversation, any statement that designs with fear, mistrust, or the feeling of not good enough, that should be your sign to forget it, erase it, move on, turn it off, flip out of it, do whatever you need to do.
Right.
Because that's just holding you back.
Exactly. Yes. So be you, be beautiful, and live long and prosper, friend. So I think we are good. We're going to wrap this up. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, for sharing space with us to talk about these things. We appreciate it. If this resonates with you or anyone that that this may resonate with, we truly, truly appreciate likes, shares, and follows and ratings. It helps us. It's an appreciative gesture for an energetic exchange. And comments on experiences or things that you want to hear discussed or talked about, or topic ideas. Absolutely. I love to hear it. So
awesome.
Thank you again.
All right.
Yes.
Until next time. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.